way of introduction, my name is Phakamile Hlazo. I'm the founder of Zulu Nomad, which started off as a tour operator offering curated experiences to young South Africans who wanted to explore the country in unique ways that weren't readily available. And expanded across to really doing these awesome road trips from Joburg through Mozambique, Botswana, Zambia, Lesotho, Swaziland, all the way to Malawi, right? So we've traveled with young South Africans from weekend experiences to 22 days on the road, traveling through from country to country. And so we have a very intimate understanding of the domestic market and their needs and what they're looking to do and explore in the country, right? And then I'm also the founder of In Africa, which was a very natural extension of Zulu Nomad, really again, born out of the realization that in all of these different African countries that we're traveling through, in all of these different communities we drove by, we were hosted by the most wonderful hosts, the most experienced guides who shared really amazing stories and unique stories. And I realized that if you're a person who is a young person anywhere in the world interested in coming to South Africa or coming to the African continent and you're looking for things to do, you're just not going to find these guys online. The bulk of our product is sitting offline. And so we decided to form In Africa, which is a marketplace which connects providers of authentic, immersive experiences across the continent, but we're starting off with South Africa, to travelers looking for these types of experiences online. So I'm so happy to be here today to share some of our learnings, and not just some of our learnings in that respect, but as well, I think I have quite a similar profile with Diane in terms of the international experience and really living abroad. I've lived in the UK for a year. I completed my master's degree in international business and finance in the UK. I then lived in Shanghai, China for 3 years, and I had the opportunity by living in China to travel through Asia quite extensively as a backpacker. And really that's how Zulu Nomad came about to begin with. It was really filling that gap in terms of budget travel, backpacking travel, in ways that South Africans and normal young people in South Africa could relate with. Okay, so when we talk about future-proofing our business, how far into the future are we actually talking about, right? Because if we're talking about the immediate future, we're definitely all aware that we're talking about the domestic market. And I think Yaku has hit the nail on the head in terms of being involved in your community. There's so much opportunity that is coming up now. And we see this in conversations with suppliers as we onboard them onto the In Africa marketplace, who have traditionally relied very heavily on the inbound market and who've been open enough to start considering opportunities within the domestic market. And the learnings there are just so, so great. We had a supplier say to us, he's based in the Drakensberg, and he said, Mark, I can't believe I've been so stupid to completely ignore the domestic market when I was targeting the international market only, I was paying so much in additional fees to the agents internationally, etc. So I think definitely, there's quite a lot of value in starting off with those small measures that Yaku has mentioned around getting yourself into the domestic market. When we talk about the future, when we're living with COVID, but the world is open again and travel is open internationally, definitely then we want to start thinking about how do I future-proof my business to make sense to Gen Z and millennial travelers, okay? And I'll tell you why. These two groups over the next 10 years are going to be the largest group with this most sizable disposable income, okay? So if you're looking to, when you're planning for your business, strategically, it just makes sense to have a plan around Gen Z and millennial travelers, okay? Regional travelers from the African diaspora, Chinese travelers, Muslim travelers, LGBTQ++ travelers. Whom else do we not know enough about from a destination point of view or from a business point of view. I'll tell you guys a story about Russian travelers specifically. I was out in Zanzibar where during what was supposed to be low season. And when my husband and I arrived in Zanzibar on the beach was packed with Russian people. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen that many Russian people anywhere in South Africa at all. And it reminded me of this little town on the east coast of Vietnam called Mune, which is a beach town. But the only travelers that I came across while I was in Mune were Russian travelers. So somehow the guys in Zanzibar have figured out how to attract Russian travelers to that destination. And I want to encourage all small business owners here today that really in the past 10, 15, 20 years, there's been so much disruption in the traditional tourism industry and our understanding of what the tourism value chain looks like, right? So in the past, where we needed all of these intermediaries because we wanted international travelers to be able to connect with us and book our experiences and book our tours, the reality of the matter is now a lot of that power actually resides within your hands. You as the business owner have the opportunity to really delve in. So if you just look at yourself and your business and your offering, you have an opportunity to spend the time and think about actually, you know, who in Kenya or who in Nigeria or who in anywhere else on the continent could possibly be attracted to this experience and why? Or is it a Chinese traveler? Or is it a Muslim traveler? You know, and then you go about A, understanding that market, and then B, customizing your product to suit that market, and C, connecting with them somehow. Okay, so when we speak about the domestic market, again, because of my international endeavors, I am quite active in the international tourism community. And Monday this week, we hosted an experience. It's called Our Future Experiences. It's a monthly series that we're running with several professionals and consultants, mostly European based. I'm the only African on that panel. And on Monday, we were looking at a very small destination in Greece, Western Thessaly. And, you know, obviously the suppliers in that area, the tourism product owners in that area feel that all of the attention, all of the travelers end up in Athens and Santorini and nobody gets to them, et cetera, et cetera. But the idea of the panel is to really deep down on the destination and understand where the opportunities are. And in this particular destination, we were looking at the opportunity for food tourism and cultural experiences, right? And so the messages that we're discussing in today's workshop are the same messages and discussions that are happening in destinations across the world. And it is very easy for us in the Northern Cape to consider Cape Town to be our competition, but actually Cape Town isn't our competition. Our competition is Zanzibar. Our competition is Kenya. Our competition is Rwanda. Our competition is Greece. Our competition is global. Travelers have an opportunity to travel anywhere in the world, and we have got to raise the bar and be very targeted in our approach around travelers. So one of the questions that came up or one of the points that one of the panelists made about Greece was, okay, but what is the local's view, a normal Greek person, what is their view of what tourism is in Greece, right? And I'm going to pose this question to us today to say, for a normal South African, what is tourism? Okay. Guys, I forgot to mention when I started that I would like this to be a very interactive session. So I do have questions and things that I'll be asking you in between. But now, Sue, because I'm sharing my screen, I can't see the chat. So if you can just feel free to jump in, Sue, please, and let me know if there's anything happening in the chat. But the issue around domestic perceptions is one that we definitely need to be able to think about as business owners, because A, tourism is perceived to be the super expensive thing that's only designed for the international market. And B, it's about accommodation and staying somewhere fancy and then taking these fancy photos and putting them on social media, right? But I think for the most part, because of our history in this country, a lot of people feel that actually tourism is not for them, not because it's not for them, but because in the past it wasn't for them. If our parents, and it sounds like it's very easy for us to go, no, let's forget about apartheid. But if my parents that raised me, did not have the ability to travel from province to province freely, from city to city freely, it is going to be inevitable that there's mental conditioning that Black South Africans and previously disadvantaged South Africans would have towards tourism in general. There's a lack of understanding of what it's supposed to be, or whom it's for, or what it actually looks like. And so we actually have an opportunity to help South Africans define what tourism is as we go into this future. So a lot of the conversations, especially now, obviously during COVID, that we've been having are very industry internal. We need to be able to, even in your own small business, be able to communicate with South Africans, with local people in your environment around what it is that you're actually doing and why this is a valuable experience for them to invest in. So, like I said, with Zulu Nomad, we've been offering curated experiences since 2018, only to South African travelers, a few from Lesotho and Swaziland, but we've only ever had one international traveler, right? And she had a wonderful experience. However, with the South African travelers specifically, a key thing that I've picked up or that I would like to share is education. And it speaks to the point around perceptions. There's a lot of education that still needs to be done in the South African market, to the domestic market, about your tourism products, the pricing of tourism products, what goes, so the fact that a discounted experience is still 70% higher than what a regular South African can afford. Maybe we just need to educate regular South African, because they do then go on social media and complain and write all kinds of things under these offers. But if people understood what goes into producing that kind of product, or the value that they then generate after having booked this luxury escape, then you're starting to do a little bit more work in terms of getting them to buy into your product in the first place, right? So education is key. This is something that we definitely had to do as Zulu Nomad. We're targeting young people between the ages of 21 and 35. Again, looking for a rustic experience. It's not about, a luxury experience or anything like that, but there's still people with perceptions that are just not in place around backpacking, around budget travel. We definitely had to invest quite a bit in our education of our target market. And again, it speaks to that very wonderful point and discussion from Sarah around email marketing, right? Once you've found your audience, once you found your tribe, whoever it is in the domestic market, it is absolutely essential, as per Sarah's presentation, that you start connecting with them and building an email database that you can take through that process of education about the destination, about your products, about the experiences.
Yeah, no, it is. No, but it's quiet now. Yeah.
Hi, Sue.
Hi, Paka. Sorry, I just muted all there and I have unmuted you, so
okay,
you can carry on.
No, that's perfectly fine. So I'm sharing these two experiences which we curated for young women in South Africa. Our travelers, and typically with the domestic travelers, we found that the domestic travelers are typically women between the ages of 25 and 45. They're usually single, young professionals, They don't mind traveling in groups. They don't mind joining a group of people that they don't know. It could be a person who's traveling on their own and then they come through and join a group. And a big factor that we found appealed to a lot of these guys was actually flexibility in terms of payments. So instead of saying to people, pay 6,000 Rand upfront for such and such an experience, if you say, you know, pay your 1,000 Rand deposit or 2,000 Rand deposit, depending again on the type of client that you're looking to target for that experience, and then pay the balance over 3 months. That appeals so much to young people. So with the domestic market, so this is an example of an experience that we run at Golden Gate, at the Golden Gate National Park. We go out there and we have a yoga weekend. We get a yoga instructor to come in. I'm not a yoga instructor. None of my guides are yoga instructors, but we found a young lady who's a yoga instructor, and she comes with us up to the mountains there, and we have beautiful weekend of just yoga and hiking and good food. And that appeals, right? This one is group of ladies that we took up to Jozini Dam. And again, it's just example. It's nothing hectic or difficult or, you know, out of the way. But what it does is it literally is just a space for people to connect in an authentic way that is relatable to them. Okay. If I go on to the next slide. So that covers the domestic market. What about Gen Z travelers? Gen Z travelers are guys who are currently between the ages of 8 and 24. And then millennial travelers is 24, sort of up to my age. I'm right at the end of being a millennial. But millennials and Gen Z travelers are one of the first segments expected to return to travel. And they're going to be traveling for an emotional escape. They're going to be traveling for social connections, and they're going to be traveling for transformative experiences. Again, if in your business you have traditionally only ever targeted older customers who are coming in for safari drives and things in the bush, etc., perhaps start thinking and applying your mind towards how you can start creating products. And I want to also emphasize this for accommodations providers, that really we're going into an era of experiential travel. We already have been for the past 10 years, where it's not so much about where you stay or how you get there, but more about what do I do when I get to the destination. So if I was an accommodations provider, for example, I would make certain that I had some kind of experiences in my property or within my area that I can offer. And then you include an accommodation as part of the experience, right? To young people looking for an emotional escape, social connections, and transformative experiences. And I'll tell you that this profile is the same across young people, whether they're South African or Chinese or Korean or whatever the case may be, okay? This generation is defined by liberal values. I cannot tell you guys how many times I've literally had friends over or friends of friends over from Europe. They go to Cape Town, they have a great time, but then they come back at dinner and they say, you know, why is Cape Town like that? It's so uncomfortable, etc., etc. There's so many things and nuances that we as South Africans have taken as normal or as have accepted to be the norm that are actually very incongruent with the direction the rest of the world is headed as far as integration is concerned. I think, you know, we kind of got our freedom and we all decided to go our separate ways, and you know, we had a lot of healing, etc., etc. But and I think a lot of this will fall within the tourism industry and tourism stakeholders to say, how do we make sure that when international travelers come to South Africa, they're not left with this, oof, but that was so uncomfortable, that we currently don't even have view of or don't see because we're South Africans and we're used to living a certain way, right? They're defined by liberal values. They're very much about global community and the environment. They're very much about sustainability. There's a huge, you know, drive, or there's a huge surge in remote working. COVID has definitely accelerated beyond, you know, anything. However, the culture of digital nomads has been, again, a growing one over the years, where the way that I work, I can work anywhere in the world, and I decide to take a month off. So instead of me coming to South Africa and spending 2 days in Cape Town, then going off to Kruger and then doing this and then doing that, I'm actually just going to spend a month remote working out of the Northern Cape somewhere, right? And then multi-purpose vacations. And so this generation, they want seamless connectivity while traveling, because I'm not just traveling because, you know, I'm 100% on holiday for fun. I may be traveling, but I'm also working at the same time. So these guys are looking for seamless connectivity. Offline equals irrelevant. And that's a sad fact. If you're not online, as far as Gen Z and millennial travelers, you're irrelevant. A bulk of our tourism product is currently irrelevant as far as Gen Z and millennial travelers. 67% of millennial travelers rate an authentic culture as the most important part of a travel experience. So again, it's not about where I stay. It's not about how I get there. I actually am looking for an authentic culture when I get there. Millennials will look for you in 5 different places online before they book. So if you have a website, you have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, you're on 3 now, right? There's 2 more places that these guys are going to be looking for you typically before they book. Okay, so in this little session, I've got a little video that I'm going to play for you guys. It's 2 minutes long, and I'd like you to put yourself in the traveler's shoes. Think about the type of information that you want to have on hand before you book an experience, okay? So this is an experience out in the Eastern Cape. So none of you, we're in the Northern Cape right now. This is an experience out in the Eastern Cape, so it's perfect. Can you write down for me, as the video is going, on the chat, let's write down anything that resonates with you around information that you as a traveler going to the Eastern Cape from the Northern Cape would like to have on hand before you booked this experience. So I'm going to stop sharing now so that I can share the video. And then, as I've said, as the video is going, if you see anything that resonates with you, on the chat, just put it on the chat. Okay, so there you go. So there's information about the Linduli Leisure Farm experience. I can see that there's a gallery, itinerary, there's location information, there's things to keep in mind. Okay, this is interesting. I can read about what is included in this experience. I can see it includes accommodation, meals, welcome drinks. What's not included? How do I actually get there? At 13 kilometers, turn right towards Holtzalbakken. Very important information for me to be able to have on hand as a traveler. Is food and accommodation included? What do I bring with me? What are there any other requirements? A very nice one here about the bike. If you're interested in mountain biking, bring your own bike. And then on the right here, I can either book this experience now, or I can send an inquiry through. I can see the price. It's priced at 3,300 Rand. I can select, the date that I want to travel. And then there's tons and tons of images. Okay, so I've decided to book this experience as a traveler, and I can select, okay, yes, it's 2 guests, it's myself and my husband. We're going to leave the baby with his grandparents. I can see that I have 3,300 Rand to pay today, and then there's a balance due of 3,300. Next, it then asks for my details. Great, I can put in my name, surname, email address, and phone number. This seems simple enough, and there you go. And then I make my payment. Okay, and then they can tell me, then they tell me that I've got 2 methods to pay. Do I agree to the terms? They've stipulated the terms again here for me, which is really awesome. The cancellation policy is right there. Pay and confirm booking. Okay, how great was that? Again, just from a traveler experience point of view, when these guys are booking experiences, that is the expected booking experience that they have. When you're designing your website or when you're looking at putting information about yourself online, there's generally, some best practices that you want to be able to stick to, right? In terms of the customer journey. www.inafrica.travel. Number 2, the customer then will go on to, in our case, this is a marketplace. In your case, it would be your own website. And they will look for authentic experiences through a map-powered search engine. Again, you want to be able for the traveler to have as seamless an experience as possible. If we are able to put on their Google Maps a link to Google Maps or the coordinates of where the experience is, of where the property is, that goes a long way, right? They're able to then inquire about or book experiences, paying online either the full amount or the deposit via a secure online gateway. Again, you've given the traveler enough info. You want to be able to give the traveler enough information about your experience or your product so that they don't have to pick up the phone, or so that they don't have to go back and think about it and write you an email, etc., etc. Right? You want to try as far as possible to get them to book while they're on the website. They'll then receive confirmation notifications and pre-arrival teaser guides and upsells. Again, so remember the idea of if someone has paid for an experience in January and they're only actually traveling in July, you need to keep them interested and reminding them of their experience, the upcoming experience. You can share with them, again, to Sarah's point around the email marketing. This could be something that you start including in your email marketing, just teasers about what's awaiting them when they travel to the Northern Cape or to your property or experience. They then come through and enjoy the experience. And then they come back and share with you as on either directly with you on your website or through social media, but you start getting reviews of the experience online that the customer has had. And in this way, you have an opportunity to provide a seamless experience for the customer, while they're still looking for you, while they're searching for you online. When they find you, they come onto a website that has enough information for them that they're actually able to book. Okay, so where to start? I think we've had several discussions now around who is my ideal customer, because customer experience is key. You want your customers to have a seamless experience, both online and offline, once they're at your property and actually having the physical experience. I do recommend conducting a social media audit of some sort and ask yourself, is this platform generating enough leads for my business? So to Diane's point earlier, if South Africans are spending 3.5 hours on social media, that's 3.5 hours that you as a business owner potentially have to actually attract this person either to your social media page or your website, but ultimately with the objective of getting them to convert into a sale. So if you have a Facebook page, but it's not generating leads for you, we need to start thinking about what changes need to be made in that space for that platform to start generating leads for your business, because South Africans are on there 3.5 hours in their day. Okay. Same with the guys who are spending 10 hours on the internet. If people are on the internet for 10 hours, is my website generating sales for my business? And if not, what changes need to be made on my website? Okay. I would also recommend partnering with a young person or a tech savvy person on digital marketing and social media management. Very, very critical. This has been said already by the other speakers. It's so important to stay open to change and to realize that whether you're coming along or not, things are definitely changing. We are moving into a digital future. We are moving into a digital economy, and you're going to have to be able to survive and operate successfully, not just survive, but operate successfully and thrive in this digital era and the digital economy. So you need to make sure that within your team, or somehow you are able to get on board with digital marketing and social media management. And then the last question is my business visible in 5 places online? Okay, so that's all from me today. I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to go back into the chat now and see if there were any interactions. However, we are currently onboarding suppliers onto the In Africa travel marketplace, which is the example that you guys saw with Linduli Lodge in the Eastern Cape. We've got providers of the most amazing experiences around the country coming on board and putting their experiences on there. And we are running a special at the moment where should you join before we launch, you then will not pay any commissions or fees for 3 months. So we encourage you to please get in touch if this resonated with you, if you see value in being online in that form. I anticipate that a lot of you guys already have websites. That's a great place to start, as I've said. However, we do need to be mindful of the customers that we're speaking to, especially when it comes to the Gen Z millennial audience. So please feel free to get in touch. We'd love to see how we can assist you in your journey.